Citigroup is raising its targets on some of the automakers this morning. Ford is going to $23 from 20, General Motors to 96 from 90. And Tesla, by the way, their price target on Tesla, it was 236. Now it's going to 262. They've got a sell rating on the stock. And Citigroup is writing this morning that supply-demand trends for electric vehicles will remain strong enough to continue driving year-over-year margin expansion. That was the opening bell on this Thursday morning. That bell ringer this week's getting quite a workout. As we get
Yeah.
underway, we have been seeing slight gains for the major averages as indicated by the futures here. The NASDAQ not open quite yet, but we are seeing a little bit of a lift. So obviously, we were going on a 6-day winning streak for the Dow going into today. If it closes up today, that'll be 7 in a row, and it would be yet another record close for the S&P if it rises. Just wanted to pick up where we left off with our autos discussion here this morning. It does feel like there is just a lot of enthusiasm around the automakers, not just Tesla, but more broadly going into 2022, Saz.
Yeah, I really have to find out who that guy is ringing that opening bell. He's been living his best life the past few sessions, Julie. Good for him. Good for him. YOLO, YOLO. But to your point on these automakers, the next catalyst, if you're trading the names, Ford has had a tremendous run. We've covered the run up extensively here. Really, that is just a function of Jim Farley just being out in front, very just cheerleading the brand. And number two, just Ford coming out with a lot of interesting, cool electric products that will start to hit the market in more scale next year. But GM, if you're a trader and you've been trading these auto names, look out for GM. They're supposed to give a presentation. I believe it's CEO Mary Barra virtually at CES. That is coming up next week. Well, they will unveil their new all-electric Chevy Silverado pickup truck. I expect that to get a lot of favorable press, hotly anticipated product launch for them. And then they'll also lay out or just reiterate their goals for electric vehicles that the market might like to hear as well.
Yeah, so we'll be looking ahead to all of that. Elsewhere, we are also looking at shares of Didi as it prepares to delist from the United States. The stock fell sharply yesterday after Reuters reported the company is doing its listing in Hong Kong as a listing by introduction without raising capital. Then there was the news that the company disclosed a $4.7 billion loss. Revenue fell in its quarter ended in September, in part because of regulatory actions and this whole process of having to delist from the U.S. and relist in Hong Kong. So the shares are bouncing a little bit today. They were actually lower in earlier trading here today. So it's interesting to see them coming back a little bit.
You know, I think I'll add here, really ugly quarter here. And it's not just, it really is in every quarter. Just looking at the adjusted EBITDA here for Didi down, they had a loss of $5 million in their China mobility segment. That's the core of their business. International, $278 million operating loss. Other initiatives, almost a $900 million operating loss. So again, a very challenging quarter for this company.
Yeah. And then finally, the curious case of Biogen. Yesterday afternoon, a report hit from a Korean newspaper saying that Samsung Group had been approached by Biogen about a potential deal. The Biogen shares rose. And some analysts came out and said, you know, this idea is not as unusual as it sounds at first glance. Apparently, Samsung's biotech unit already has a partnership with Biogen, but Samsung out today saying that the report is not true. And now the shares are going down against us.
Yeah, well, here's one of my early predictions for next year, Julie. I'll take one for the team. I think you're going to see a big year of consolidation in the healthcare industry. We saw some deals this year, but I can't help to think back what Jefferies' Michael Yee told us last week on potential for healthcare deals. A lot of these companies are sitting on a good amounts of cash. They have strong product development pipelines. Why not join forces and just become larger companies and take over the world?
I mean, this Biogen one would be a big one if it did happen. The market cap is just under $40 billion. As we know, Biogen has struggled with its Alzheimer's treatment, trying to get coverage for it because there were questions about its efficacy, its safety, its cost. So that's kind of the overhang, if you will, for Biogen. So we'll see if one of those deals that you're predicting involves this company in particular, but it definitely should be an interesting year to be sure.